Hello gamers, what's going on? I'm back with another new video on Battlefield 2042 settings. It will be a complete guide to get better performance. In this video, we are going to discuss system requirements, minimum system requirements, recommended system requirements, settings, general settings, global controls, other, display settings, video settings, screen setup, field of view, graphics settings, graphics preset, advanced settings, HUD general settings, general, world log, crosshair, display, minimum, mouse and keyboard, global, movement, zoom, other, advanced, aim, pilot, the rest of the settings, audio settings, configuration, accessibility settings, how to improve performance, update your drivers, how to update NVIDIA graphics drivers, how to update AMD graphics driver. It looks set to be one of the most ambitious shooters ever released. The game is taking the normal Battlefield gameplay, such as huge maps, lots of dynamic elements, big player counts, and dialing it up even further. Battlefield has always been one of the most impressive shooters, but it is also one of the most demanding. The game can be tricky to run, especially if you're trying to be competitive. If you want to get a decent FPS rate and generally do better at playing Battlefield in the multiplayer, then switching to the Battlefield 2042 settings could make a big difference. The game has officially launched, so fine-tune the rigs and start gaming. In just about every shooter, there is a big difference in how the game performs with different settings. The best Fortnite settings will get you a much better performance out of Fortnite, and even though it is a lot more complicated, the same works here. The settings that you use impact your FPS in-game. They change how responsive it is, and how quickly you can react to events. The best settings can help any PC run this game quite a bit better. You can get a better reaction time and generally help to play better without any significant PC upgrades. This guide covers the best settings. These are the settings that you can use to get a better performance out of your PC when you're playing. An increased FPS and more streamlined experience can benefit even an experienced player. System requirements. If you're looking to make the game run better, then you're going to have to make sure your PC is up to scratch to run the game first. These are the minimum and recommended system requirements. The minimum can run the game, but you're going to run into some problems in places with performance. The recommended requirements should be capable of getting good frames per second in the game, especially if you're using the best Battlefield 2042 settings. Minimum system requirements. OS, 64-bit, Windows 10. Processor, AMD Ryzen 5 3600 or Core i5 6600K memory. 8 GB, video memory. 4 GB, graphics card. NVIDIA GTX 1050 Ti. DirectX 12. Online connection requirements. 512 kbps. Hard drive space. 100 GB. Recommended system requirements. OS, 64-bit, Windows 10. Processor, AMD Ryzen 7 2700X or Intel Core i7 4790. Memory, 16 GB. Video memory, 8 GB. Graphics card, NVIDIA GeForce RTX 3060 or AMD Radeon RX 6600 XT. DirectX 12. Online connection requirements. 512 kbps. Hard drive space. 100 GB SSD. The best settings. These are all of the settings available in the game that you can optimize if you're looking to make improvements. Not every setting listed here is important for performance though. Largely, the graphics settings affect how the game runs and can have a big impact on your FPS. However, we've run through all of the settings anyway, so you can be sure your thing's working as well as possible. General settings. Global controls. Invert look. This is a lot of different settings, but we've grouped them in since it is basically the same thing. If you use inverted views, use them, if not then don't. This is an entirely personal preference. Camera shake and map. 0 points. All this part of the setting does is shake your view around. Other. Hints for controls. Off. Once you've got the controls down. Shared usage data. Off. Show player created content. On. Display settings. The display and video settings decide how the game runs graphically. These deal with visual quality, but also have an impact on performance. Lowering some of the more demanding settings here go a long way to improving your FPS, especially on lower or more medium-powered machines. Some players won't need to lower their settings. However, for a lot, this set will work. Video settings. Screen setup. Full screen mode. Full screen. Device. Your monitor. Resolution. Your monitor's native resolution. Refresh rate. that of your monitor, since higher is pointless. Field of view, 80. You can go higher if you're able to though, it will depend on your monitor size and personal preference. Vehicle third-person field of view, 70. ADS FAW, on. Graphics settings. Brightness, 50. High dynamic range, off. Motion blur, 0. Chromatic aberration, off. Film grain, off. Vignette, off. Lens distortion, off. Graphics preset. This is where things start to get interesting. Here, we're recommending settings that are a bit lower. This will help you achieve a higher and more stable FPS. However, feel free to dial them up if you want the jump in quality. We've noted where the most important changes for FPS can be made. These are the ones you really should stick to. Graphics quality, custom. Texture quality, low. Texture filtering, low. Lighting quality, low. This one can have a big impact on FPC. Effects quality, low. Another important setting, but it tends to be fine off of high. Post-process quality, low. Mesh quality, low. Terrain quality, low. Undergrowth quality, low. Anti-aliasing post-processing, TAA low. Ambient occlusion, off. Advanced settings. Dynamic resolution scale, off. You can turn this on if you're seriously getting FPS problems. Dynamic resolution scale refresh rate target, 100%. Only applies if you're using DRS though. DLSS, off. Ray traced ambient occlusion, off. This is a big one for FPS. Future frame rendering, on. Vertical sync, off. High fidelity objects amount, low. HUD general settings. The rest of the display section isn't the best for optimizing things. A lot of these are coming down to personal preference, but we've detailed all of it below in case you're unsure about any of these. General, show HUD, on. HUD motion, off. Camera shake amount. Turn the slider all the way down. Soldier compass, always on, but this is largely preference. Show vehicle seat, on. Color blend, off. Unless you're colorblind. There are some settings where some players prefer viability, like Deuteronomy. However, you should experiment yourself. World log, kill log, on show kills made by. Up to the individual player, not a real advantage here. Crosshair. The crosshair settings will vary from player to player. There's no outright best crosshair for everyone. Even among the top pro players, you go into a lot of differences in what people use. However, if you're generally looking for a balance of visibility, then these are some recommendations. However, keep in mind that it's really just up to you. Crosshair opacity, 100. Thickness, 35. Crosshair color, something clear and visible. Hit indicator, 100. Hit color, same as a crosshair, something clear like red. Damage base shape, on. Headshot or kill color, distinct enough from your main color to make it visible. Display, minimum background opacity, 90. This is pretty much just personal preference though. Rotate with view, on. Minimum view distance, on. Foot, 80 to 100. View distance, ground vehicles, 120. View distance air vehicles, 300. Mouse and keyboard settings. The game has some decent options for optimizing your inputs to the game. However, a lot of these are more based on preference other than what's overall best. Despite this, there are some general rules you can use to get the most out of things. This is what's in this section. Global. Invert look. Invert looks are entirely down to personal preference. Raw mouse input. This is a weird one, and there is a case for both on and off here. However, on can have an advantage if you use a particularly high-end mouse. On foot. Soldier mouse aim sensitivity, 5 to 15. It is best to start lower, but you may need to experiment here. Invert look FAV ADS. These are covered elsewhere, and similar settings apply. Movement. Soldier sprint. Toggle. Double tap forward to sprint. Off. Sprint to vault over. On. Always use traversal sprint. Off. Zoom. Soldier weapon zoom. Hold. Steady scope. Hold. Soldier zoom sensitivity, 25 to 35. You can go higher though if you preferred. Other. Parachute auto deploy. Off. Air spawn parachute auto display. On. Quick throw grenades. Off. Reload hints. On. Revive interaction. Toggle. Request skip revive. Hold. Reload hints. Personal preference here. Advanced. Vertical mouse aim ratio. These are fairly up to your own preference, but higher works well here. Uniform soldier aiming. On, unless you really want to fine-tune. Coefficient. Off. Zoom aim sensitivities. Various zooms. There are loads of settings here for changing your sense for an exact zoom type. These are slightly overkill to list in full. However, a good starting point is 35, with each marked up they need to become more responsive. Vehicles settings. Aim, vehicle weapon zoom, hold, pilot, invert vertical look for aircraft. This is preference. Weirdly, one usually feels more natural for air gameplay. Aircraft control sensitivity. Higher than normal, 90 to 100. Helicopter control assists. Some might prefer full control, but having it on is less thing to worry about. Advanced. Vehicle mouse ratio. 100. Uniform vehicle aiming. On. Coefficient. This is mainly preference, but having a medium amount, 100 to 130, can actually be helpful in vehicles. The rest of the settings. The video settings are probably the most significant in terms of performance. However, there are some minor adjustments you can make elsewhere to make sure you're getting the best experience possible. These are some of the other settings you can use. Audio settings. Master volume. 100%. Music volume. 0. Sound effects volume. 100. In-game announcer volume. 75. Configuration. Audio mix. 3D is best if you have the right headphones. Audio in background. Off. It is best to stay focused. Hit indicator. Default. In-world music. Off. Accessibility settings. The accessibility settings aren't the most vital for competitive play. You're probably not going to get a major advantage from here. These are some recommendations though. Menu narration. Off. Convert incoming voice to text chat. Off. Colorblend. Covered above, but depends on your preference. Motion blur. 0. HUD motion. Off. Camera shake amount. Turned all the way down to 50. Crosshair projection. Off. Vibration. Off. Those are some of the recommendations. However, another major impact on things is going to be PC. Make sure your computer is up to date, and consider replacing any underpowered hardware if it can't quite perform. One important area that you're going to need to change things is to make sure you're using the most up-to-date drivers possible. This is how you can do that. How to improve performance. It has had quite a few performance issues in its beta, which has left a lot of players looking to improve the way that the game runs. If you're trying to play your best, then you need to get a good frame per second rate out of the game alongside a decent performance. These are some steps you can take to make sure things are running optimally. Update your drivers. Updating your drivers can make a big difference to how the game runs. This is a new release, and it's going to be taxing. This is how you can do it. How to update NVIDIA graphics drivers. Download GeForce Experience. Open the drivers tab. Click check for updates. How to update AMD graphics driver. Right-click on desktop. Select AMD Radeon settings. Click home. Then new updates. Click check for updates. Improve your PC's performance. One other step you can do alongside using the best Battlefield 2042 settings is to make sure your PC is running properly. This is what you can do here. Cut down on unnecessary other programs while playing. Run the game from an SSD. Use a wired internet connection. Free up disk space. Shut down background processes. These steps can go a little further towards improving things. However, upgrading your PC can make a difference too. This is a really demanding game, and a lot of players are having performance issues. Running through the checklist of drivers and updates could save you a lot of hassle along with PC upgrades. Thanks for watching this video. Visit our channel for more videos. Please subscribe and press the bell icon.